Hey, we're rolling. Hold them up a little higher here.
Okay,
Might even zoom in. Okay, go ahead and talk about them now.
okay. This one is the National Chorus pin that I was in National Chorus for 3 years. The gal who directed our chorus was Ann Fleming. She was old gal in her 70s, and she knew music. She played drums. That was her thing that she did. She knew how to direct. She's from Massachusetts, one of those old New Englanders. It was just such a pleasure to work at her direction because she just had that New England accent, that whole New England point of view, and just a trooper like Dave's mom is, and just a go-getter for an older gal. I just so appreciated knowing her and getting to sing under her for 3 years. So that was that.
70s? 70s isn't that old, is it?
Well, 70s kind of gets there.
Upper?
Lower not.
Lower, not so much.
No.
Thank you.
It's getting younger all the time.
Getting there.
So, and, that's funny.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
In DAR, there is an order to pins, and it starts down. It starts up here, goes down, goes down, goes down. At the bottom, I should have an insignia pin at the bottom, but there's another whole story with that. I had to let it go because my friend Sally Mayhew, who is the vice president of finance and administration at McKendree, and I worked under her. She was my big boss when I was at McKendree. Her daughter, Rachel, who was living at home at the time, I needed a program. One of my programs weaseled out on me when I was with Highland chapter, and I had to quit, get another program for that meeting. Well, I knew her daughter did quilts, and lovely work. Rachel is very detailed and does perfect stuff. And so I asked Sally, will Rachel come bring her quilts and talk about them to our gals at our meeting? She said yes. So when the time came, Sally came with her. And those girls, Sally and Rachel, loved DAR. I mean, it just clicked with them. And after they sat through my meeting and Rachel presented her program, they just loved it. So in the meantime, Rachel got older. She got on a plane, met her husband on the plane, and they started dating from there, got married. She moved to Montana because that's where they live. So she got her job established. She works for the state of Montana. And then she finally found time. Her job requirements finally quit requiring her to travel all the time so she could be in the area much more. So she got interested, worked up her paperwork, and got into DAR. She went in on Sally's husband's side, and all she had to prove was from her grandmother to herself, just like me and you guys. So anyhow, she got her paperwork together and got in, and so we kept tracking her because on National's website, they let you know when the new ones are approved and what their national number is and all that stuff. So we knew when she was going in. Well, she went in on the 22nd or 3rd, whatever that Saturday was in February. And so she went into Montana. She has the chapter in Helena that she's joined. And I told Sally, I said, I want her to have my insignia pin. I said, in DAR, it has my national number inscribed on the back of it. And I said, in DAR, it's a big deal to get an insignia from somebody else. So I want her to have mine. Because eventually, these they have to either be held by the family or they have to be given back to DAR. And what they do at National then is they resell them at I think at a reduced price from when you buy them new. I bought all mine new, and this is about $700 worth of pins.
Can they be buried with you?
Oh
No.
God, I
No.
hope not.
Oh.
I hope not, that's a waste.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, these are mine, and it would start with the insignia, which is now in Montana. Then this is my ancestor bar, William Moore Jr. That's one of the, if you're gonna wear pins, you have to start with the insignia, the ancestor bar on your ribbon above the insignia, and then either, probably your chapter bar. I've got so many, I got rid of my chapter bar. I had one once, and it was at the top when I was wearing one single ribbon about that long. So as I got active in DAR and got more jobs and all that stuff, I could earn more pins. But now some of these, this one is the Virginia pin. Our ancestor has, there was some confusion there, and I didn't quite understand why. For the most part, everybody thinks William Ward Jr. came out of North Carolina regiments. But DAR has him as North Carolina and Virginia. So one of my trips out there, Continental Congress, I got into the library. They have folders on every Patriot. And you can ask to have that folder pulled, and you can read through what they have on William Ward Jr. And so I read through. What I got out of the reading was that he was in a regiment in North Carolina. Somehow through the course of the war, his unit merged with, or he got reassigned to, a regiment in Virginia. And that's how that is. So on my certificate back from headquarters when I joined, it says Virginia, so I wear the Virginia pin. This one is for units overseas. DAR also has units or chapters in Italy, England. I think we're just getting one in France now. England, isn't that funny? And Japan, Mexico, and Natalie is members, she's an associate member of one of the chapters in Mexico because that's where her ties are.
Yeah.
Mine is Germany because I was there. So I joined as associate member to Palatinate chapter in Germany, so I got the pin for it, and then it says Palatinate, it says Germany, So that was for. This one is a member for member pin. When you bring somebody into DAR, you get one, and I did that earlier on, so I got that. This is my Illinois pin that shows I'm a member from the state of Illinois. And when you go to national events, this is good to have, because then people can identify you with your state. This one is Korean War Remembrance. At the 50-year anniversary of Korean War, I was the state DAR, state chairman for DAR Service to Veterans, which is a committee that is the one that is very dear to my heart in DAR. And so during that time, your regent directs you, your state regent directs you. My state regent directed me that she wanted all of the Korean War veterans honored. And so I developed a certificate, and I had certain criteria that they had to submit to me. I passed this on to the chapters throughout the state of Illinois, and I said, your mission is to find your Korean War veterans in your community, and we will honor them. Send me their information. We will create a certificate and send it back to the chapters, or however you want this done, and however you want them to get to you, and we will honor your veterans. So out of that project, which is a 2-year project, I created over 800 certificates honoring the veterans in Illinois.
Our uncles included? Our uncles were included? Uncle
Yes.
Hugh and Uncle Bob, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I made one for Uncle
Yeah.
Hugh and sent it to Natalie.
Yeah.
And I got to do a lot of related stuff because different chapters will call me and say, can you come and be at our meeting and present these certificates so we can say we have the state chairman at the meeting. Okay. That little Mustang I had back then just buzzed all over the state. You know, we just were going. And so I did a lot of that, and then at state conference, one of the luncheons was a service to veterans luncheon. Now at state conference, we not only had all of our state people, but some other state regents come in and visit. And then the national gal, her mission over her 3-year term is she has to go visit every state conference while she's, I'll tell you the name of what she is in a minute. But it's not national regent, but President General. She's President General, is her title. So, you know, at some point, President General has to come too. So, at the luncheon, the other state regents, as a matter of fact, the Florida state regent sat next to me and helped me keep myself organized to pass out stuff. And the different veterans that were in the area. We passed out their certificates there. And one of the guys came up to me afterwards, and I reported in front of the whole audience, and DAR people, mostly the veterans too, what DAR Service for Veterans does. What exactly hands-on stuff do we do for veterans throughout our state. And so when I got done with everything and the luncheon was over, one of the guys came up to me and he said, "Oh, Virginia, we had no idea DAR did so much for veterans." He said, "I am just overwhelmed with everything you do." And he has this medal on a red, white, and blue ribbon, and he says, "Here, I want you to have it." And he takes it off his neck and he puts it on me. And it was some commemoration that he had gone to, you know, some foundation or something that he had gone to, and they had given them that, and he thought it was cool, so he thought it was really neat that he was passing it on to me. So that was the story of all of that, and that was just, it was such an honor to serve all that. So I put a book together for the state regent at the end, well, state conference is the end of everything for her term, so I presented her with a big binder of names and all the information I had accumulated and any pictures I had accumulated and stuff, and presented it to the state regent for her project. So that was fun. It was a lot of work, and I'm working full-time and all this. You gotta remember, I'm doing all this while working full-time. Because there'd be some nights I'd come home from work, grab a bite of supper, and sit down at my computer and start working. And I wouldn't get off that computer till midnight or 1 o'clock in order to get my obligations met. And then during that time, I was also, the United States in DAR is broken up into different divisions, and I was also North Central Division that covers 7 states worth for DAR Service or Veterans Committee. And all that basically is just a channeling of paperwork as the states start picking their state winners, because we honor veterans. There's 3 categories of veterans: service to veterans, patient assistance, and people who go in as volunteers and assist them, and then an outstanding DAR who's done great DAR work for her chapter, and then I think, I can't remember what the 3rd category is, but anyhow, all that paperwork everything's got a lot of paperwork, and so all that paperwork has to be channeled up to national. And it goes, and so my 7 states had to report to me. I had to bundle it all up and send it to a past president general who had been selected to judge. That person would judge these 7 states worth of stuff, and then pass it on to a national review board. And then up from there, and then they're honored at Continental Congress, and they're on platform. So, that was just a channeling, but there's deadlines to meet. You gotta nudge these states along. Come on, I need your reports. You know, so you guys know how this all goes with paperwork. So I was running that at the same time I was pulling state conference together and getting my stuff channeled up. So it was fun. I loved every minute of it. But boy, it was busy.
Yeah.
And so that one of the years, we submitted one of the gals whose chapter I'm in now, Gloria Stumbaugh, for an outstanding veteran gal who does veterans work, and this Gloria just does a heck of a job and just is relentless about it. And their chapter had submitted her name, and then now I'm in that chapter, but anyhow, hers went up the line and she was the winner that year, and that's the year I was state chairman of DAR Service for Veterans. That's the year she won national. She got through all the channels and was on platform in Washington, D.C. Yes, I mean, that was just so cool to be that chairman, and there's my gal up there, you know, so it was just really, it was just very productive, you know, and everything worked right.
So how often did you go to national?
I went to national for 3 years. I went in 2000, 2001, and 2002. And in 2002, I was so freaking mad what happened at 9/11 and their threats against us. I mean, I was just foot stomping, screaming mad. And I didn't have a gun, so I couldn't go there and kill them. But it's an idea. And so that year, Continental Congress was right around 4th of July. All the prelim meetings and stuff that go on, we're having it on July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. July 4th was the holiday, and then the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th was Continental Congress that year. So we were gonna, DAR is always in the Constitution Avenue Independence Day Parade that Washington DC puts on. And we carry flags, and we carry, if there are enough women who are there, that will carry, every person will carry a flag from all 50 United States, and then all of our units overseas, we have those flags as well. So I was so freaking mad. First thing I did is I found Mary Ann Wright was the committee national gal who was putting the parade together, and I submitted my letter to be in the parade, and then she selects and accepts you. And that's how you get to be in it. So I got accepted. So it was hot that day. It was a hot 4th of July in Washington DC, let me tell you. All they tell us is you have to wear white. You know, they don't have uniforms and such, but we all have to wear white and wear a straw hat because it's hot. And so I pulled my outfit together, had my bottle of water, went down to the parade grounds, and it was at the other end of Constitution Hall. The parade finished at our end, where our headquarters is. So I went down there, found our group, and watched how things were being done. And what I figured out through watching, that at some point she had the flags all laid on the ground, rolled up, and they were gonna be, you know, just in a row. And I could tell I needed to be standing near that Illinois flag if I wanted it. And so I did, and I guarded that thing like a bulldog. And so at one point then she said, you know, everybody go, you know, please go and assemble with the flag on carry. I grabbed that Illinois flag, and that's it. So everybody got assembled. Out of the crowd, here comes 2 gals from Jerseyville who had just gotten into DAR with me. Well, they want to carry a flag, and they don't want to carry the Illinois flag. I'm a state chairman, get off my back. This is where you gals are newbies. You're just chapter members who came, which is great. You were glad you came, but you're not doing this. So I said, nope, I'm carrying it. You know, I'm not one to stand my ground if there's a reasonable argument for it, but I was headstrong on this one. I didn't care. So I got to carry the Illinois flag. Well, then they line the flags up in order that the states come into the union. So we are the 21st state. So the way we fell in rank then, I was right on the edge. And boy, it was like, when we started off, I was like, oh God, I remember how to march. I know how to do this, you know. And it's your body, you know, you get your body back in the groove again. So I got back in the groove again. It was great, you know, it was so much fun. And just to be on Constitution Avenue and in Washington, D.C., oh my God, there's nothing like it. You guys have got to get out there and participate in the 4th of July in our nation's capital. That's where it's at, I'm here to tell you. And so that night, we were staying at the JW Marriott, which is...
We stayed there.
Yeah.
Yep, that's where we were staying. And on the
When you were up
9th
there.
floor or 12th floor, I can't remember exactly, they had a balcony. So that night, because you could see the fireworks out over everything on the mall, they were having a chocolate buffet. And you had to buy us $25. I bought either the last or the second last ticket, because there's only room for so many people. So, you know, one of the gals that went to national out of our group, she's a go-getter. I mean, she's like a bulldog, and she was like, well, the first thing when we got there was like, you and Mom have to hurry up and go buy these tickets, because they're running out. It's gotta be cool, we gotta go do this, you know. Okay, Jennifer, we will. You know, so, well, we did that. So here I am, sitting on a very nice balcony, having chocolate desserts, champagne, watching fireworks, hearing the patriotic music. You guys, it does not get better. I had to go off to myself and have a moment because it was just so cool. You know, and everybody gets that.
Yeah.
So you have a cigarette afterwards.
Except they don't smoke.
I know, it's a good reason to start.
No. There's never a good reason to do that. So, anyhow, that was in 2002, and that was the last year I was able to go. Now, in 2003, one of the gals for our chapter was named for, we have a juniors program, and the younger gals in our chapter, it's a whole separate program, but we have outstanding junior honors, and so one of the gals, Jennifer, was the gal, she was being honored as, one of the, state, she was in the crew, they don't pick till that night, but, you know, she was in the lineup. And she'd made it that far, so she was, to be on platform is a huge deal in New York, to be on platform at national. So she made platform and all that. And we also have a pages program at the state and the national functions, especially state functions too. Our younger girls can be pages. And what they do is, first of all, they wear white, so they know who they are, and we usually have a sash that says page on it. They go around and organize lineups when people have to approach the because we have platform in Illinois too. At our state conference, they have to organize people so they're marching in at the right order, because there's very specific orders about who goes where. We also have a wonderful flag collection in the state of Illinois, that the state of Illinois owns. And those go up, and they are historic flags. What are you doing, Tank? They
He
need out?
doesn't know.
What's he doing? Okay. So, movie dog. So, anyhow, on our dinner at state conference, it's very formal, and again, we wear our long sparkly dresses. And, we have a march of it's called the Parade of Flags. And the pages, and you need a lot of them to do it, will march these flags in unfurled, you know, so you can see them. And then we have a reader that stands up on platform and reads about the background, where these flags came from, what battles they were in and all that stuff. And it's very interesting to get that. And so they do that every Saturday night for the kickoff of the dinner of state conference. And so those gals have to be dressed in white, wear white gloves. Oh, we also have white glove reception lines. When the dignitaries come into town, you get your white gloves out, dress
Your
nice.
sparkly dress.
Sometimes your sparkly dress, sometimes just a very nice dress, depending on what the occasion is. And you go through a receiving line and meet the state people or the national people. I love all that. You know, it's like, give me my white gloves, I'm ready to go.
So what's the approximate age of the juniors and the pages? Are they young girls or?
You can join DAR when you're 18. So it's anybody from 18, it used to be 30, there for a while we were really hurting for pages, so we extended to 35. And I know the one gal who lives for paging, which is my friend Jennifer. She's in her 40s and she will not give it up, and they're letting her do it. But she pages at national, and she assists the President General, because she's done it and she knows what the hell she's doing. Because to get people up from the side wings at national in Constitution Hall, is where all this stuff is held, to get them up, directed around which side they need to come up from the back on, and down that center aisle to the podium. You know, it's very exact work, and it's very formal, and it's done right. It's one of the few organizations that I've seen knows how to, first of all, they don't train, there's a lot to cover in their meetings or their stuff, but it usually depends on what President General you have. Some get a little more talky than others, but they're very generally run, very efficient, and very formally and done right. And I just love all that. You know, it's one of the few places in the world that isn't government that is, you know, and I'm not even sure the government knows how to run anything right anymore. But you know what I mean? You know, it's just, there's a lot of tradition there, because there's just a lot of and a lot of good things, so.
We need to
Oh, you
plan a
guys-
family trip to Washington DC,
Yeah,
while your boys are the right age.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so much to see. And go to DAR quarters.
Yeah,
It's
we
sim-
took
we've
us
been
to
there,
headquarters.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So then you've seen
Yeah,
Constitution
yeah.
Hall, yeah.
The Scouts had nationals at DC this year for the 100th anniversary.
Yeah, it's an awesome place for a family vacation.
Yeah. And everything's free, other than
Other
having to
than
pay to
food
stay
and
there.
lodging,
Food and
yeah.
lodging.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Isn't that a killer?
Right.
And this, you can get it anywhere on the subway. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, stay out and,
Yeah.
Now tell a story about how you met Dave.
Oh, yeah, we didn't finish it.
We'll start at the beginning.
Okay.
Well, you can condense it if you want.
Dave and I were in the Army, and we met at our duty station in Fürth, Germany. Fürth is a twin city to Nuremberg. I was assigned to their company to do paperwork for our company that supported all track and wheel vehicles for the companies out around us. We had all their parts that they needed for all their track and wheel vehicles, so they would come in with their broken things and bring them to us, and then we would give them the right thing they needed and the right part. And then eventually, we would have just a lot of broken parts, and so these broken parts have to be turned in to either, some were shipped back to the United States to be repaired, like the M60 tanks, the M6 packs for those tanks, and that was our power units. That they would have to be shipped back to the United States to be repaired. But all the other Jeeps, trucks, oh my gosh, and when you talk trucks, you're talking all different kinds of sizes. You know, big rigs, which is what Dave drove over there, was the 18-wheeler style for field units. The big deuce and a halves, the radio rigs, which are bigger than pickups but not as big as deuce and a halves. And, you know, all that stuff, you know, we had to have parts for all that stuff. So, some of those things would be fixed in Germany. And some of them would be fixed by American shops set up in Germany, but most of them were set up by shops that were German owned. Well, we got transfer cases that we needed to have hauled. So my officer wanted me to go with the railroad and reconcile accounts, and that was, we had to go to Mainz, Germany, to a plant there that did that. So our transportation unit was Dave's unit, and they had all the heavy haul equipment, the bigger stuff to haul the tanks on, and
You want me to bring me some of my pictures up?
no.
Okay.
That was easy.
She's the boss.
And so, these transfer cases need to go to Mainz, and I need to go with them, and I knew that unit over there that Dave was in ran full tilt, and they ran balls to the wall, and no matter what it took to do it, they did it. And those guys
We
were
run.
good, but they knew their commitments and all that, but they were a wild bunch.
We run 24/7, and
If it needed.
if we weren't working on the trucks, we had large containers full of ice, good German beer, and barbecue grill,
Perfect.
and I mean we were eating and drinking, or we were working.
Work hard or play hard.
7 days a week. That's all we did. We was always at the shop.
So I called the officer of their unit,
So
and I said, I need to know who your best driver is. I have to go with the unit. To be really honest with you, I want to get there and get back in one piece. And I said, so I want your best driver, who is it? And he says, well, it's DJ Johnson. I said, okay, that's who I want. Okay, you got it. And so, I met Dave to know who he is and how we were gonna meet to do this, because we had to leave it very early in the morning. About 6 o'clock, is that when we
Yeah.
left? Yeah. So it's for where he
Well,
told me where to meet him in
I usually left
where
a
the
lot
truck lot
earlier,
is. And so I walked back that morning, I see the truck, but all I see is the hood open and the soles of his shoes. He's down in the motor, and all of a sudden, parts start flinging out.
Ooh, that doesn't
Oh
sound
my God, this is the best they've got. Oh boy, this is gonna be good. So anyhow, all of a sudden he comes calling out, and after we worked in there for a little bit, and he says, well, the heater motor was broke. He says, these trucks don't have a heater on the passenger side, they only heat driver's side. And he said, I wanted to replace that and make sure you're warm.
Oh.
Well,
You're the man. You're the man.
the trucks are very generic. It's an army truck. I mean, there's a piece of tin between the engine and you. They are loud. There are no creature, I mean, it does have a heater. Other than that, there are no creature comforts. There's a little handle, so when and if the windshield wipers break, you can sit there and work them back and forth.
So no DVD player, I guess.
Oh, no, I had 8-track.
Oh, 8-track.
he put in,
Yes.
Yeah.
8-tracks was the thing of the day.
8-track.
Yeah, back then.
I still have a functioning 8-track player.
So anyhow,
That is so sick.
we
But
we rode.
few of our, let me just interject for a second. Have a drink of water.
lost your voice.
Anyways, most of the trucks come with a canvas top, you know, and, since we were in, support company, you turned in something and you got a new one back. Well, if something came through with a hard top, they made it was an option that you could get for some trucks. We would, midnight requisition them.
I've heard of that.
They go into depot, they're gonna get shredded and turned in for scrap. I mean, that's what we did. We issued you a new truck, we took your junk. If there was something on it, we stripped it off of it, put it in the boxes and sent it to depot for a rebuild. And the rest of it went to one depot in Stuttgart, or Nelligan, and they got shredded and sold to the German economy. So, mine had a hard top, I welded washers on the door so I could have padlocks on there so I could lock it. And I had put 4 speakers in the corners and I had an 8-track player. And, because most all the radio stations, unless it was AVN, or no, AFN, Armed Forces Network, you know, I mean, wasn't much.
Focus, they play Focus probably.
No, one certain time you had countries, one was soul music, one was
Rock.
rock music, you know, there was just certain times of the day. And, well, and after midnight, there was no music. And since we drove a lot at night, I had my 8-tracks and I listened to whatever I wanted to. I had a duffel bag, not a duffel bag, but a valise, just full of my 8-tracks.
Well, you had to, they're big. Everybody selected all.
But you
Well,
set
we
your
still-
own truck up, you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
And we were assigned our own
You
truck.
got your own cab then?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
Okay.
but
okay.
the heat,
Good?
no, one more,
Another drink.
anyways, the only thing they had in them, like I said, just, they didn't have any creature comforts. You had a defroster and a little bit of a heater.
Yeah.
So there was the ambulances and stuff, when they turned them in, had 3 heaters in them. And they were going to the shredder. So we used to just take the heaters out of them, and there was enough room under the hood, and we just put another duct in there, so you'd have just a heater just to blow on you to keep you warm. Because it was always dank, and, I mean, if you watch the Discovery Channel, and how the weather is in Alaska, that's pretty well how the German weather is. I mean, the sun comes up at 4 o'clock in the morning, doesn't set till 9:30 at night. You know, but it's damp and cold 90% of the year.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have about you have maybe
Summer.
about 45 days of summer.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's cold. So,
Yeah, one year I was wearing I was working fixed station comm center when I first came in the country. And for that first 4th of July that I was there, when I went on duty, I had to have long underwear on under my fatigues. Because it was that cold. On 4th of July!
yeah, it's like going out today. It's a damp cold.
Yeah.
It'll just go right through you.
Yeah.
So anyways, I went out and fired my truck up that morning, and it started squealing and the heater motor went out. So I jumped the back fence and requisitioned another one out of the ambulance, and was reinstalling it when she walked up and seen me throwing it back over the fence.
That's too good.
Perfect timing.
I'm done now.
Thank you.
That was good.
Gotta have a break after that one.
And Rena really isn't so sick about your 8-tracks, because I still have my Commodore 64.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
Andy still has my
That was
8-track player.
yeah, I still have a working
Yeah.
8-track with the tapes.
With tapes.
Right.
I think, did he take, I don't know, I'll have to look around. I don't even remember if I got any of them.
He might have requisition those from.
Well, I still have all the
No.
albums though, that I made the 8-tracks off of.
Same here.
Oh, okay.
And, but,
So anyhow, after we started talking and got to Mainz and did our job there, and we got our reconciliation done, and we came back, it just seemed like we were so comfortable together. You know, there's Davis
Well, you had
fighting.
2 heaters, so. Lighten it up a little bit.
well, it was a comfortable truck, cause it used to have just a bench seat in there.
Mm-hmm.
There was like
Would you
Sitting on
put
the-
in a love seat or something?
No, I took that out and put in another driver's seat,
Oh.
which had,
They're right.
Mood lighting, just
Lava light.
we did have red.
shag carpeting on the ceiling.
A friend of mine did do that. Yeah.
I know this is out of
Well,
hand.
you right there.
Huh?
Who did that?
Huh? You remember that other guy that, he wasn't in our section, but he was that other fourth trans driver that him and I used to run together all the time?
Oh, okay.
Because the army trucks run 56 miles an hour, the trucks that we had. And you're out on the Autobahn and everybody's going, whoosh.
Oh,
You're a major
yeah.
road hazard out there.
Right.
The way they
But of
fly.
course, the German trucks, they're not running any faster. But 19, 20 years old, people passing you is just not the thing. I come home on leave, talked to some friends of mine that were mechanics, and I figured out how to adjust the road speed in that truck.
Shim the pump, shim
Yeah.
the pump.
Yeah. Anyways, it would, when I started, it would just blow a little smoke out. Well, when I got done, it would blow quite a bit more, so it wasn't ecological, but also blow this much flame out the end of the stack.
Or of course, when you're that age, it's so
90 miles
cool.
an hour.
And 90, whoa, that's nice.
She was
90 miles an
coming.
hour blowing, and blowing fire.
Yep.
What's cooler?
Yeah.
Oh, now, you always like speed.
I do, yeah.
You still do that,
And we made good time coming and going too, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So,
So what caused the spark? Was it the flames coming out of the exhaust?
just a good
We
thing.
just started talking and
Just started talking
That's
and
usually the way
I
I.
seen her a couple days later, or a week or two later, I seen her in the PX and I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, you asking for a
And he
date?
said, how you
I asked you
doing?
to go out and meet. So,
Yeah.
and we started off a little rocky in places because
Yeah, it's
We went to-
it's
went
been
to-
rocky in places, but we're okay now, and that's the main thing.
we went to the NCO club and I was an E5 and
Okay, please.
okay.
If it's a good story though, it's just-
Yeah. Well, she was an E4, I was an E5, so I could go, and she didn't have enough rank.
Should've waited
to
the
get-
car.
and you can boss her around, is that?
No,
Not so
really.
much.
I didn't really like Boston, I didn't ever really care.
He doesn't, he didn't like Boston people around.
No, they wanted me to run the section a
Oh,
couple
okay.
times, and I told them no, I says, nope,
He's a
these
hands-on,
were
let's get it
good.
done guy. He is
You
not a
know.
boss guy.
You know, you want something done, tell me that needs to be somewhere else fixed, whatever, I'll take care of it. Don't, you,
Okay,
anyways.
Yeah, tell that story, so that you find it.
moving on.
So we go to
So
the
take out a
NCO,
drink.
we go to the NCO club, and of course, I'm a lot more, I put on a little, about 150 pounds since then. And she was taller than me then, and we walk in there and the NCO at the desk says, you and your dependent, because we're
Stop.
both in civies.
He's talking to me.
Well,
You, me, and dependent.
yeah.
No.
Dave does have a
And-
short fuse.
And Dave had, and I gotta tell you, when I, back in the early years, Dave had a baby face. I mean, he just looked like a very young person. And, you know, so I can see where this guy came up with that, but he was also, like you said, hot temper.
Yeah, well, I climbed over the top of the desk, and as his chair hit the floor, and I was standing in the middle of his chest with my knee, I explained to him that I was of higher rank than she was. And then we went in.
They needed that story, so that's good.
But it just, even though I'm all smiles and stuff now, I wasn't always that
Not
way.
always.
No, I did have a little bit of a temper.
Yeah.
So what year
And
was
it took
that?
us many years to wind that down, I might add.
What year was
What year
that?
was that, Dave?
That was in
70.
72. No,
73, 74,
74.
and 75, 'cause
Okay.
that's somewhere in
74,
area.
that was 74.
Ah,
And,
that's good.
Yep, so,
but we used to,
okay, nope.
All right, that's a good one. Now tell some more funny stories. What was the street when you lived on Mississippi in the city? What was the address?
Oh,
Before the-
2011.
20, is that house still there, or is it a
It's
duplex?
a four-family
2011
apartment
Mississippi.
building.
So is that by 1111 Mississippi, the restaurant?
Oh, I don't
Oh.
know.
It's 2011 Mississippi.
Hmm,
I don't know, I bet it's still there because it's a brick building.
Yeah.
Is it by
And-
Lafayette Square?
Well, I don't know, I'll go look at it.
South, wouldn't it be south?
I know it's close to Russell.
Okay.
That's-
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 Yeah,
that's
right there, yeah.
2011. We'll have to check
Yeah,
that
because
out.
1111 is a restaurant in Lafayette Square.
Okay,
It's
well,
very lovely.
That's like about 9 blocks away.
Yeah,
oh my
yeah,
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
And I've wanted to go back and see that.
yeah. It's a neat area.
2011. Is it
Yeah,
really?
I don't
I
know
didn't know
about
if it
that
got
block,
run
but,
down.
yeah, I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
It's
what
right
kind of
next to a really
restaurants
neat
there?
area. It's a fine dining, very good, very lovely.
Oh,
Hmm.
that would be so cool.
Huh.
I don't get very far these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
I just don't eat much,
Hmm.
and there's days I have to upchuck a lot
Mm.
because the stomach cancer is aggravating everything. And, you know, it's all about keeping the bowels and the stomach, don't let go. So, and now I'm getting so tired, so although I'm finding, I feel great today, and I think it's because of all the oxygen. I did 2.5 hours this morning
Really?
in bed as I woke up, and you know, that really seems to help give me strength.
It's,
Oh,
yeah.
we
Good.
got it yesterday and it's made a, I can tell a big difference.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That's good.
Yeah, 2011 is
2011.